is on assistive technology. The Americans with Disability Act prohibits discrimination based on disability. Similar to how you can't discriminate based on someone's race or religion, you also can't discriminate based on a disability. And businesses have to comply with this act, and therefore employers have to provide reasonable accommodations to employees with disabilities. So what is assistive technology? It's technology that's assistive, that helps people with disabilities. And we're going to go through the different disabilities and the different assistive technology that is out there to help. Some examples in general I have here are alternative keyboards, and this could be have larger or smaller keys, alternate key configurations, and also a keyboard that could be used for someone who's only able to use one hand. Touchscreens are really easier for people who can't use the keyboard or mouse. So these are some examples, but we're going to go through the different disabilities. So the first one is vision impairment. So what do we have for people who have difficulties with vision? There's larger monitors, screen magnifiers, which makes everything bigger, so it could be easier for someone who can't see very well. Screen readers, and we've spoken about this before, someone who can't see the screen can hear the screen. I have an example there. Braille technology, where you can type in Braille and it prints it to text, or the opposite, text to Braille software. So there's a number of things that are out there as well. Now here on your computer, you can try and listen to the screen reader and as a little exercise, and I have commands you can press right over here. You can also try out the screen readers on your phone. And here you can see I put how to do it for iOS and Android. So try it out, play around with the different accessibility options on your phone, and then turn on your screen reader and see what you think. Well, now hearing impairment. So what can we do for people who have difficulty hearing? How do they speak on the phone? How can we use computers to translate English to sign language? So there's different tools out there. There's TTY Relay, which is where a deaf person can communicate over the phone with a non-deaf person, with an operator. And there's newer technologies that are out there, which include internet-based relay services, and I have a little video that you can watch on that. How can we support efficient interaction with the computer without the use of a standard mouse? So people with mobility impairments, they may not be able to use a mouse. What software can we provide them to make things easier? What about people who can't walk? So I have different examples here, and there's many more examples, but there's different keyboard settings that those who can't use a mouse can still use the keyboard. We spoke a little bit about this. There's also eye trackers. And there's research even that helps people who can use their brains to control a computer or a robot so that they don't need to rely on their bodies if they can't move. So I have a video that you can watch as well. And there's also robotic wheelchairs. Speech impairments. So there's a lot of reasons why someone may not be able to speak, and I have the examples on the slide, but how do we help them? What tools can we use for someone with a speech impairment? So there are speech computers, and they have artificial voices that speak for the person. And I have a video that you can watch as well. Dyslexia. So this is, a very common, and many people have dyslexia where they can't, the letters are different, and you can see my little examples here. And I'm going to have you try reading this and, take 60 seconds. You can pause this video and see if you can read this, because there's going to be questions on the next slide. Now, answer these questions. Why are images good for web accessibility? Who would be negatively impacted by a text-only website? See if you can answer these questions based on what you read in the previous passage. Now, wouldn't this be easier? But people who have dyslexia, they don't see it this way. So how do we adapt? There's people with different learning disabilities, and there are tools out there that can help. There's spell checkers, grammar software, word prediction software that tells you what they think the next word is going to be that you're going to enter. And there's other specific softwares that help with dyslexia, and by reading out loud web pages and materials, and makes it and reads it out loud to help the person. Elderly. So what the elderly are interesting because they are counted as a disability because they have a lot of the disabilities that others have. They may not be able to hear as well and need things louder. They may not be able to see as well. So, um, to in order to design for the elderly, there's things that you can do like have different settings for sound, for color, for brightness, for font sizes, not as much distracting animation. There's also robotics out there that can help them, robotic companions that can remind them to take their medicine and send hospital updates. So there are a lot of tools that can be developed and are being developed for the elderly. Now, we've gone through a lot of these topics, and I've only given you a few examples, and that's because your research, your homework is going to be picking a disability and doing more research into what assistive technology devices are out there and what you think could be designed that isn't already designed for someone with one of these disabilities. Now, accessibility, while you may be targeting a specific disability, it can actually help everybody. Wheelchairs, we've mentioned a ramp is good for a wheelchair, but it's also really good for someone who has a stroller. Same as spell checks. Spell checker might be good for someone, with dyslexia, but it's really good for everyone. We all use our spell checkers. Video captions that, how many times have people turned on captions in general, just even if they don't have a problem with hearing, they might choose to see the captions on the screen because, you know, maybe they're in a public place and they can't listen to it. So there's lots of reasons why many people will benefit from the designs that get generated for people or get created for people who have disabilities. And so it's important when you're doing your own designs to remember to be inclusive of everyone and think about who your target users are and make sure that everyone gets experience and a good experience for design. And also we can make designs specifically for people with disabilities, and that those designs may actually help other people as well.